And we are live. Atif, thank you very much for coming on the show today. How you doing?
Awesome. How about you, Gabe?
I'm doing fantastic. To get us started, why don't you tell everybody, who you are, where you're from, and how you got started in real estate in the first place?
Sure. Awesome. So my name is Atif. I'm from the great state of New Jersey, and I'm a real estate developer, and I also have a prop tech startup. And the way that I got started is I'm a licensed architect, so I use that to transition to development. I worked in corporate America for about 15 years, and then decided to make the leap to work for myself 3 years ago.
Wow, that is awesome. I love it. And you seem relatively young for being a developer. Usually people jump into the development field later in life, but it sounds like you had a good starting. You were an architect. It sounds like you even worked in corporate doing architecture work. Didn't really float your boat, so you decided to jump out of there, start your own entrepreneurial gig. You started in development, and since then you've been to developing projects as well as doing your own startup in REDIST. Is that correct?
That's it. Yeah, I think I have the benefit of having really good genes, so I'll probably be forever looking young. I actually get carded still, but I'll take what I can get. I think that's the theme in life. So
I love it. I
uh,
love it. Yeah, for sure.
that's it. So I think for me, the path in corporate was I did start for working for a great architecture firm in New York, and then switched over to working for Turner Construction, so a huge construction management company. Then went to business school after I got licensed as an architect. Then worked for a large developer in New York. So I had the opportunity to see the industry from many, many different professional angles. And then when I switched over to starting my own business, it was such an amazing path because I thought that everything that I'd gathered over those 10 years would make me like ready to go right from the starting line and go win the whole race. And I literally just kind of fell over face first because working as an employee on a $1 billion project is not the same thing as being the principal of a $5 million project. That is completely and utterly different. So it was basically like, I like to call it my third professional degree that I got was actually starting my own business, like the School of Hard Knocks. That's what that was.
I love it. And actually, I want to dive a little bit more into that because, a lot of people that listen to this podcast, they have considered, maybe they're not doing it yet. Real estate investing is still their side gig, but they've thought about jumping in, starting their own business. So kind of tell us, take us to when you were in corporate, you were still an architect and you were living that life and you were thinking about it and then you jumped. So tell us how that process worked. What were the big hurdles that you had to overcome and how did you come out on the other side?
Sure. I think for me, the reality is that being in the competitive New York City real estate world, when you're at a really prestigious firm, so I worked at Extel Development, they're one of the best known in New York City. The reality there, really at many firms, is that if you're not a family member, there's going to be a limit to how far that you can go. And all of my boss's daughters were already married, so that wasn't really an angle for me to try to work. I just saw the writing on the wall. I knew what was coming. So for me, I had an opportunity to work on 8 amazing development projects, 40 acquisitions all across the country. But I knew that my ability to make decisions and drive the investment thesis was rather limited. At that same time, I was deciding to buy my own home. So I bought the condo that I live in Hoboken. And I saw just in a short amount of time that I had owned it, how much it had increased in value. And I thought that there had to be something to start looking around where I lived for opportunities. So while working at Extel on the weekends, weekend warrior style, I just went to a ton of open houses. I literally walked up and down the main street in Hoboken. It's called Washington Street, and met every brokerage and said, "Hey, my name's Atif. I work at Extel Development. I'm looking to buy some investment condos. Just tell me what's up." So basically, everyone exactly hit the streets. And then after all, I just started buying individual investment condos. And then probably the biggest kind of pivot was I found this article in the Wall Street Journal about first generation immigrant family like my own, 3 brothers that started a development company in Newark. They're called the Hanini Group. and really awesome glowing article about them and them being a part of the Renaissance in Newark, New Jersey. And I literally wrote them a postcard saying, hey, I don't need a job or anything. I have a job, but I just want to say you guys are really cool. I saw your article, and if we could be friends, that would be awesome. And then I literally put maybe it was crazy of me, but I put my phone number, my email on it, and they literally called me the day they got it. They're like, we have never gotten something like this before. You should totally come and meet us. So I just took the train out to meet them in Newark. I met them for pizza, and they're like, hey, when you find deals, just come pitch them to us, just like as practice. So I'd come, and then after a couple months, I found 512 Park Avenue, which was my first development project, and they said this deal actually makes sense. And I was like, wait, you want to do it? They're like, yeah, let's do it. And then they're like, you should probably quit your day job then. I was like, okay, let's do that. That was kind of the basic thought process of the whole thing.
Nice. It was almost happenstance. So it sounds like your first foray into investing was actually on the buy and hold side. You're buying condos, is that right?
Yeah. So my thesis overall is when you're in an extremely expensive market, like Northern Jersey, where there is not a significant amount of risk because we're on the doorstep of New York City. It's like literally a 4-minute subway ride or 8-minute ferry across. It in many ways is a foolish idea to buy and flip unless there's certain things. So I would say if you are able to buy at a good price and there is a potential to develop like this project that I'm working on now and develop and sell as condos, yes, then a buy and flip makes sense. But generally speaking, in expensive markets that have an upside to them, you're going to want to buy and hold to really make some value.
Got you, right, because you want to get the appreciation over time. You're not looking to get that lump sum of cash, which you can get in any market, but it's just not as worth it in those really expensive markets where the appreciation is going to have a huge upside for you over the years. Yeah. Awesome. So condos, you did some buy and holds, you were renting them out. Do you still own those today?
Yeah, so the investment portfolio that I have, which are the smaller condos that I started purchasing a few years ago, they've performed really well. They've increased in value. I was just checking your numbers yesterday, about 30% over the past 3 years. So that's for Jersey. That's not Jersey numbers. That's Texas numbers or Florida numbers. So I think a lot of it's about finding value, and no matter what people say about technology really disrupting our industry, yes, 100%. I went to MIT, so yes, I agree. Technology is disrupting everything. But I think when it comes to real estate and finding deals like those that actually pencil out, it's about knowing everybody, knowing every block, and knowing how to actually move the cheese and get the whole thing done. And that's all relationships. You can never replace that stuff. So that's, I think, the secret of the buy and hold portfolio.
Absolutely. And you are, let's see, we're recording episode number 38 or 39 right now. And okay. I think you're the 38th or the 39th person who said relationships are the absolute core of real estate. There's nothing that surpasses it. So I love it. Relationships, it's how you move forward in this industry. It's how you get deals. It's how you enjoy it, to be honest. So great advice. Let's move a little bit further here. We've come with you. We figured out how you got to where you are. So now tell us about your business right now, the nuts and bolts of it. You're doing development work. Sounds like you got a project on 512 Park Ave in Hoboken.
Yep.
So kind of tell us about that.
Sure. So my approach is being very light from a burn perspective. So I don't have any employees. I occasionally have interns, but that's pretty much it. Everything I do through partnerships or outsourcing. So I literally don't have an office. I work from home. So the overhead is absolutely low. And it's really just focused on finding really good deals. So the key piece is this. So I would say to get started and leaving corporate, whether you're in your 20s or your 30s or 40s, whatever age you're in, it really boils down to a few very key things you have to have in place. I think number one is that you have to have an incredible expertise in the particular market that you're working in. So to be the king of Hoboken or the queen of Jersey City, like something like that, to know everything about it. Like what I did is kind of a little unusual, but I actually read a bunch of history books of Hoboken and Jersey City. I went to the Historical Society, got their maps, and I started doing walking tours of Hoboken and Jersey City with my potential investors. And I started then I bought a car, I became an adult, and I started doing it by car. And people loved that. They loved that a lot. So I think being the expert in your market's the first really important thing, to build it, to getting where I am right now and having multiple projects. I think the second one is being really competent in the actual task of being a developer, which involves knowing enough about architecture and design, knowing enough about construction, knowing enough about finance, and knowing enough about the approvals and the municipal process. So knowing each of those. The good thing is, besides the things that I mentioned before, I'm also a city planning commissioner in Hoboken, so I understand how that whole process works too. So that I think is the second piece. And the third piece of the puzzle to get where I am now, it's having people that'll actually invest in you. So I mean, like, sure, there's all these great ideas of real estate funds and crowdfunding and all this other stuff. But honestly, I can tell you again and again from friends that have started their own firms, it's always going to be your mom, your dad, your brother and your sister, your college buddy, your grad school friend. Those are the ones that are going to invest in you. So be nice to all of those people. So that's like really the process that got me to portfolio, to 512 Park, and the other active projects.
I love it, and that's funny you said that because my parents were the first ones that invested in my my deals as well. So you're 100% right on that one. Awesome. So you mentioned a few things there. I mean, you're the commissioner of the. Sorry, say that again. Commissioner of.
So city planning commissioner in Hoboken.
City planning commissioner, which permits are, especially when in development. I haven't done a lot of development myself. Actually, I've done zero development. I've done flips, but I've never, gone from the ground up. Even in the flip world, permits suck. Having to pull permits, it's one of the
deal's dead because of permits.
So, I mean, you sit on the council. So kind of give us a little bit of advice. I know every municipality is going to be different.
Yep.
But when someone is considering doing a development project, what are the pieces of advice you can give for getting your projects permitted?
Okay. So I think a really important thing is if you're getting started, just do your first couple as a JV with someone that's done it before. That I think is number one. So the Hanini group, the one that I met because of my crazy postcard, they are my JV partner. They've been doing this for 10 or 15 years. So there's a level of legitimacy that you get when you're going in front of any kind of governing authority that way. But I would say beyond that, do not go for a variance or do not try to get anything special early on for your first projects. Just do it by the book. Do it like in compliance with the existing zoning code, planning code, where really all you need, like at least in the markets I'm familiar with, is a zoning officer who's an employee of the city will do a sign off to make sure you're in compliance, and then you go right to the building department. If you're trying to do an extra floor, if you're trying to do a higher lot coverage, which are like the two big asks in urban markets in New Jersey, you're going to go easily 6 months to a year in this whole process. And that can kill your deal right there. So just go as of right, just do it. Don't be a superhero, just do it and get it done and then move on. That's what I say, for at least for the first couple.
I like it. So if you don't have a ton of experience, which most people, getting into development don't, you're saying just go by the book, don't change anything, don't try to change codes, don't try to do anything outside of what is already permitted in the area. Just stick within the dotted lines, and everything, hopefully, crossing fingers, would go well.
Yep. Yeah, and I'd say what you're going to notice during, I think over the past year or two, there's been a greater and greater desire to make these processes more transparent than they were before. So let me give you an example. So the New Jersey State Assembly just passed regulations that are recommending and potentially forcing all 554 municipalities in the state of New Jersey. That's already a crazy idea, that this whole process is broken into 554 chunks to force them all to do all of their building application processes, get this, online, and make all of their inspections scheduled online as well. So I think when you're able to start doing those things, this is going to make your process easier. But you're finding certain municipalities like Hoboken is ahead of the bunch in doing that. If I were a developer getting started, I would start sniffing out the neighborhoods and the cities around me where they're a little bit ahead of the game with that stuff, because what that translates to is your 12-month development period just became 9 months, and that's money. That is money right there.
Yep, I like it. Wow, that would be that'd be a big change. I know I'm in King County in Seattle, And I know that they've been trying to streamline their stuff online for a while. I haven't gone through their permitting department at all, but I'm sure that they're, pushing that as well. So it's good to see here that New Jersey is doing the same thing. Hopefully everybody gets there. I've worked in municipalities. I'm buying a mobile home park out in George, Washington, which is in the middle of nowhere. And they don't even have their GIS online. So hopefully, hopefully we all get there someday.
Do you know, honestly, I think that COVID is the huge kick in the pants that everyone in our industry needed, that this whole relationship-based approach does not have to be high touch. And I think that translating that to something that is more smooth and less onerous is such a reflection of the perspectives of millennials and Gen Zs. Because in the like the whole idea is that if you're applying for a permit and you're trying to build in a city, you are the customer. And the city is supposed to treat you like a customer, not as a beggar coming to their door. And I think that there's this generational change that has to happen because we're not having it. Millennials aren't having it. So like, if that's the case, I'm just moving my money somewhere else and investing somewhere else.
I love it. Relationships do not have to be high touch. I like that. Or a relationship business, essentially. That's a good quote. I'm going to put that on in the notes for this episode.
Okay.
Okay, so we've heard a bit about your business, about your development work out there in Hoboken. You also have done prop tech. You're building out a software tool in the real estate industry. So kind of tell us about REDIST. What does it do, and what was your motivation going into this?
Sure. So REDIST is focused on making it easy for developers like me, investors and brokers, to discover, understand, apply for, and finance the incentives that exist out there. So it's totally mind-blowing. There's $100 billion of taxpayer money that is distributed through incentives every single year. Every year at the federal, the state, and the local level, there's free money that's given out to develop. But this in lies the whole problem, is most people don't even know about it because the information isn't easily accessed. It's often hard to find. In certain municipalities that I've been to, they won't give it to you unless you drive there and get it from them. Yeah. And I think this whole kind of cobbled together, fragmented world is it's insane because it's your taxpayer money, it's my taxpayer money. So there has to be a better way to do this. So the real kind of thing that made me realize this is when I worked at Excel Development. I worked on one huge project in the Bronx, about a 20-acre site for an affordable housing city. And as I was getting started, I asked the head of development for our company if there was like a template or a pro forma or a guide to get started about learning about all the incentives that we needed to use in order to make this development project actually work. And he said, nope, that's why we hired you, Atif. So part of me was like, yay, good job, Atif. But then part of me was like, this is nuts. So when I talked to my friends at Tishman Inspire, Related, all like the who's who of development firms, everyone does it the same way. They start from scratch with their in-house hires that are $200,000 all in based on your comp, your bonus, and everything else from scratch. Every deal, every hire, every company, the same thing. And when I started my own firm, and these are projects that it's like new market tax credits, low-income housing tax credits, historic tax credits, small, medium-sized firms like mine will never pursue those because of the huge amount of legal overhead to have a lawyer to pursue those for you. And what that means is that the people that actually get to use all this money are the ones that either have an army of analysts to do it for them or an army of lawyers to do them. And that was never the intent of these incentives to begin with. So I think that whole experience is what encouraged me to build something better. So what REDIST is, it's a B2B SaaS platform for developers, investors, and brokers to discover, understand, and access all these incentives. We're pre-seed, we're pre-revenue. We have 34 companies using the product. We've raised about $300,000 now with 7 people. We're at Columbia Startup Lab. We're now part of Bowery Capital's accelerator as well, which apparently I heard like those types of accelerators for VC in New York are harder to get into than Harvard based on like the number of like applications and things they get.
Wow, so, congratulations, that's awesome.
But that's what REDIST is. So we should be going to market publicly next January, and we're doing a soft launch Labor Day.
Awesome. So let me just recap everything you just said for the people listening, just in case they want to get in on REDIST. So this app is going to be used for developers only, or is it people doing, just anybody in construction, or who's the end customer that'll be benefiting from these I forget the word you use for it.
On the platform?
Well, no, the for the benefits that are being given out. Incentives. There we go. Yep.
Yeah. So the core user groups, the people that will get the most benefit from this, are developers, investors, and brokers. And in addition, this makes a lot of sense to service providers like lawyers, as well as incentive agencies. So all of them we consider part of the ecosystem for REDIST.
Awesome. So if you're a developer, an investor, or a broker, you can go to this platform, you can find an incentive, and it's not geographically limited, right? I mean, this is all across the entire US. Doesn't matter what metro you're in, what municipality you're in, you'll be able to find some kind of incentive, if it exists, that will work for the project that you're working on. Is that right?
So that is the goal, and right now it's New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. We started with the tri-state area because that's where my team is, and that's where all of our personal relationships and our network are all there. So we plan to grow. We're going to add Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and California next, and then we'll add other states based on our priorities order. But the website, it's redist.us, so redist.us, redist.us, and that's our platform.
Awesome. Well, I personally hope you push this all the way to the finish line where everybody gets to use it, because I mean, you're absolutely right. Getting something like that, you need a lot of right now it sounds like you need a lot of effort. You need a lot of analysts, lawyers to actually do it, and that basically limits it to the people who already have all the money in the world, and they don't need any of these benefits in the first place. So hopefully this can kind of democratize it and allow the people on the bottom to kind of benefit from these incentives. So congratulations for that. It's awesome that you guys are doing that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put my white hat on now, doing the right things.
I love it. All right. So we've kind of gone through both your businesses. You're a developer, you're developing software. Now, I mean, you've had quite a bit of experience. You were an architect. You bought and sold, or it sounds like you haven't sold, which is great. You bought rental houses and you've done development work. So you've had experience in the field out there. I'm sure you got stories. We all know real estate, it's up, it's down, it's a roller coaster. Sometimes you're on the top, sometimes you're on the bottom. Take us to one of the points where you were on the bottom, where you ran into something that was just completely unexpected. And then tell us the lesson that you learned from that.
Yes. So I should 100% write a book about everything you're not supposed to do on your development deals when you get started. But I think the biggest one is this reality that what is written in code is still subject to people's interpretation. So what that means is that if you believe in your architect of record and your design team believes you are complying with the law, and a logical person reads it and says, yes, that makes sense, whether you're talking about your ability to extend on a building and not need a variance because of XYZ, or your ability to keep a apartment below flood level because of XYZ. It is a very good idea to have an informal conversation with the person who actually is the arbiter of that code before you go and have your entire design team make all of this stuff and you go present to something to someone that they're going to say no to anyway. So I think for me, the low point that I had is on both of my first projects. Both of those things happen in very different ways, but essentially it was the same exact story. And I think for me in both of them, when you look at the lost time, all of the carry associated with that, and then the reality that starting a second time over, you have to get the energy and the momentum back again after it all gets halted. I think it's a real challenge. So I think for both projects, they both had the same bottom at different times. And I would say that was probably the toughest, is to realize that no matter how perfectly you've planned, no matter how everything is set up, always try to think about whatever it is that you're trying to do and how it can go wrong. And the B and C and D plan you need to have ready. Because if you don't, the consequence, more time, more money.
Absolutely. And you're absolutely right. I mean, when you run into problems like that, it's really hard to gain the momentum back. So you want to
Yep.
be able to see into the future. You want to be able to plan for any contingency that might occur.
Yep.
And it sounds like the major lesson you learned there, codes are subject to interpretation. So make sure that you're actually talking with the person who's in charge of that code.
Yep. Exactly.
Awesome. Okay, so that was your trough. Now take us to the top. Why do you keep going in this? Why do you love real estate? What gets you up in the morning?
So I'd say this. I think for me, there's this kind of conundrum for smart people that, and I guess most people, everybody, is that if you put your mind to it, you have the ability to almost do any career that you want. So in college, the two kind of things I was thinking of was either being a doctor, like every other Indian person, or being an architect and doing something different. And for me, there was this. It wasn't well formulated at that time, but it was this reality that when I looked around the real estate industry and big famous developers and New York City real estate, there was literally nobody like me that looked like me that was doing any of this stuff, whether they were
Wow, that's
governors,
surprising.
senators, nobody in
Huh.
public policy or real estate that looked like me. And I, as an 18-year-old at MIT, I had this notion that there was something wrong with that. I wasn't sure what it was, but something was wrong with that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, rather than being the umpteenth surgeon in America that's brown, I thought maybe let's go this other path. And I think for me, the real high point is realizing that there is so much impact that you can have when you bring a fresh perspective to a particular venue. Let me give you an example. So, for being a city planning commissioner in Hoboken, so this is a city that is traditionally very NIMBY. It's very opposed to development, and the challenge that ends up becoming is that it's a city increasingly for the rich. Like, it's impossible to buy something in Hoboken, and if you're trying to get started. And what I'm really proud of from the public perspective is when we did our re-examination of our master plan, me and a few other of the planning commissioners really pushed this idea of rezoning large chunks of our city to allow for higher density. So people that may not have means, people that are buying their first home, that might be first generation or anything else, can buy that first piece of the American dream in Hoboken and not have to go 40 miles away to actually do it. So I think for me, that's the really inspiring thing that makes me keep on going, is that there should be more people that are millennials, more people that are Gen Z that should be involved in government. There should be more immigrants, more women, more everybody should be involved in government. I think that's like the thing that keeps me really excited from the public perspective. And I'd say from the private perspective, it's the reality that like all the mistakes that I've made, all the errors, all of the things I should have done differently over the past 2 or 3 years, now I've been able to build a machine that actually makes sense with all the right team members, the right things, and the right processes. So now I'm like 30, 37. I have another 40 years ahead. So if I build 2 or 3 projects a year, that's like 100 projects, more townhouse and things to do. I don't really ever really want to do some huge mega skyscraper. That's not really what I want to do. But amongst the next 100 projects, I think not only am I going to do something really good for the cities that I work in I focus on historic redevelopment projects, but I can make some bank too. So I think that's what makes me really excited from the private perspective as well.
Absolutely. So having an impact is, I mean, it sounds like both having an impact and being able to financially, to build something that is financially viable.
Yep.
That's what gets you up. And I mean, that kind of resonates with me as well. Especially like this mobile home park that we're buying now. It's in bad shape right now, but we have plans to make it amazing. So having that impact, seeing how it's impacting the people around you, that is, in my opinion, the best benefit that you get out of real estate for sure.
I think, Gabe, that is like what you're doing is such a cool thing, because the reality is that people, whether you're in New York City or in other urban areas, there's always this idea that a lack of affordable housing is because of the real estate industry and because of developers not doing the right thing. When in reality, there are so many avenues towards housing that is affordable, like with a small a, not with a big A.
Yeah.
And I think mobile home parks are one of those things that are so underappreciated as a way of starting to solve the affordability crisis that exists across our entire
Yeah.
country.
Don't get me started on that one. The reason, one of the main reasons a lot of municipalities don't, I don't want to turn this into my thing, but a lot of the municipalities don't like mobile home parks because they don't get the revenue from mobile home parks, because the density, they only get one tax dollar from it. There's 50 families living on that plot of land, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
But I'm glad you said that. I appreciate it. I'm going to move us on here just a little bit. Actually, we're nearing the end. We try to keep these to around 25 minutes. And so we are nearing the end of our episode. So I do want to say thank you very, very much for coming on. I appreciated everything you shared with us today. And I know everybody listening and watching did as well. On that note, we all need to receive things. So if someone were to bring you something, what would you want to receive?
Besides like a Ferrari or $1 million.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like a deal, a contact.
Oh, I got it. Yeah. I would say, so this would be released in about a month from now, you'd say, or 2 months from now?
Probably about a month. Yep.
About a month. I would say from the REDIST perspective, I'll say from the Amanat Properties perspective, that it's generally family and friends investors. So it's people that I know. But if someone is interested in finding out how to get started and do their own thing, I love talking to people and I love kind of sharing my experience. So that's something that I'd love to share, if not like take from somebody, at least give my experience. I think from the city government perspective, anybody that has any interest whatsoever about doing anything in public service, whether you're want to be a dog catcher or run for center, whatever, I've not only done for being a city planning commissioner, I've been a part of 3 progressive upstart underdog campaigns that actually won. So that I'd be love to share people and give people information. And now the ask I would say is for REDIST, we're finishing our pre-seed round. So if you're into prop tech, you are thinking about the future of real estate and how it's going to change, talk to us because we're actively raising money.
Awesome. I love it. And on that note, if anybody did want to get in contact with you, what would be the best way for them to reach out?
So the best way would be to go to either of the websites. So it's amanatproperties.com, AMANAT properties.com, or to go to redist.us, REDIST.us, and just go to the contact us sections. That'll come directly to me. Perfect.
Well, you heard it, guys. If you want to get in contact with Atif, reach out on amanatproperties.com or redist.us. Either one of those will get you to him. Again, Atif, thank you very much for coming on the show. I appreciated it. I know everybody else appreciated it as well. And if you're listening, watching, we look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode.
Awesome. Thank you, Gabe.
Thank you for joining us on the Real Estate Investing Club. If you've watched this far, I'm sure you've gotten a little bit of value out of this. So we would appreciate it if you hit that thumbs up, share it with your friends or family, whatever it may be. And if you'd like to share or partner with us on a deal, we absolutely love partnering on deals and are always looking for quality projects. Go to www.therealestateinvestingclub.com to get in contact with one of our partners. Otherwise, I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.